this is based on an actual case study, a company that I was involved with, although I've seen this played out in many companies in many different countries around the world. The company subject is a very well established brand, it's profitable, and its product is highly in demand. They did a trial of a style that sold very well indeed, and the brand business now wants to go into bulk manufacture. So, managing director asks the sales director for a sales forecast. Sales director says 50,000 units, even though secretly he's thinking 60,000, but he's not going to stick his neck too far out. Buying director's sitting there and he's writing down 40,000 because he's decided that the thing's not going to sell, and when it doesn't and they've sold the stock through, he's going to get a lot of brownie points as a result of that. Over in the corner, the designer isn't saying anything, but he's already decided he's going to quietly improve some of the specifications for the garments that he wasn't entirely happy with during the trial, and this will go on all the way up to and including the point of manufacture. So I think just to help set the scene, one of the other issues is that the design, the technical and buying departments all have separate islands of information. They all operate separate Excel spreadsheets, systems, and they all have their own individual timetables. So moving on to the supplier. So the capacity is booked, the quantities are set, and the start and finish dates are agreed. First thing to happen is that the fabric and trim is late. The factory's then forced to start another order to keep the people occupied. And then the fabric and trim arrives, so the retailer or the brand starts to put the pressure on the factory to change quickly and get their style up and running now. So they stop everything, they start the new order, they have to put more lines on than originally, and the efficiencies start to collapse at that point. The style amendments during manufacture are complicating things. They're not major amendments, but it makes them different. It makes the last garment different to the first garment, so now the retailer's complaining about that. However, once the style gets into selling, and it's doing really well, everybody goes quiet and everybody just goes with that. So now the style's selling, the sales guys are getting very excited, they're taking very firm orders, and it's looking like the 60,000 that the sales director thought in the first place. And the sales guys are agreeing to deliver to any delivery schedule that the retailer asks for in order to get the orders. So by now the fabrics and the trims are being flown in to expedite, the supplier's putting more lines on, he's working overtime, he's working nights, he's working weekends, his costs are going through the ceiling. The upshot, the final position is that the season ends where they actually only managed to sell the 50,000. 10,000 of them are made, but they're late and they're stuck in the warehouse, and there's a fairly high reject rate from the retailer. And of course the managing director wants some answers. And is he going to get any answers? Is anybody going to put their hands up and confess to it, or will the finger just get pointed down the line all the way down to the weakest member?
There's a cautious estimate of order quantity. The forecast was cautious rather than left with stock.
You've got to order that extra 5% just in case you get a bad bit of fabric. Yeah.
And by rights, the customer could turn around and say that we didn't want this.
If you can develop a good, open and honest working relationship with your brand or retailer or whatever, they will gradually understand that you're there to help and to work with them, and you're not going to assist them to fail because they don't want to fail either. That will gradually become part of the working idiom, and they will always come back and work with a supplier that was honest. It's all about planning. It's all about good, close planning. If you are working in real time on your planning and getting good quality information from your suppliers, the whole thing has to integrate and the information has to be shared, and particularly the logistics. I mean, in many cases, if you have got raw materials coming into your factory, you know 2 to 3 weeks ahead that it's left, it's on a truck, it's on its way, or it's on a boat, or it's not, or there's no real surprises on the day that it doesn't turn up. It's all about communication and good planning, really. In the 21st century, what all the businesses should have is an interactive specification, bill of materials, which locks into a plan, and there's only one common database for the information, production database for the information, and it's a shared database. And you can have authority levels as to who's allowed to go in and change, or who has to have permission before somebody else goes in and changes. It's not rocket science, it's a fairly common thing, but many businesses still rattle on with the old Excel spreadsheet and remembering to make a telephone call or send an email. And in this day and age, the speed at which the product has to move, businesses can't run like that anymore.